Hi.
Hi, nice to
It's
be
so
on the
good
other
to
side of the camera.
I know, and I'm not usually on the camera at all because I'm behind the scenes. And for the people that don't know, I'm Donna Teft, and I work for Pine Hills LLC. And we are filming our next episode of Wednesday Unwind, and we thought it would be really fun since we work so closely with Parker and Cap on some of the shows that they've done at the Pine Hills to turn the table and find out a little bit more about you and your life and what you do when you're not doing what you're supposed to do, which is the question that we always ask everybody at the Pine Hills. So I think I will ask you that in a minute. But you know, after so many months of not being able to be together, I mean, not seeing you guys as we normally would, it's just great to be able to be distanced and still be able to chat together and just reconnect, actually.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And it's nice to, it's just nice to see you again and nice to chat. And of course, the time during the lockdown when we couldn't see people face to face, couldn't have dinner parties, couldn't hug, which is, you know, huge for me. It was challenging. It was challenging for sure, but we're getting through it, and it's the new normal, and we all adapt. We're, as humans, greatly adaptable, which is good.
It is good.
But it's nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, of course.
So one of the things that is just always amazing to me is that, you know, your job takes you to meet lots of people, you know, and you're inside all these different homes. And one thing that you do, and I've watched you do it with us a couple of times, is you just break down the barrier of being on television in such a sweet way. And how do you do that? I mean, is that something that you learned?
You mean for the homeowners?
Yeah, like how do you get people to just open up? Was that something you learned through being on television, or is it something that is just you?
Well, I don't have any self-consciousness on television myself. So I think I try to inform them that it's just a camera. And what we really want is a conversation. And I think once we start talking, a lot of times the homeowners will say, "Are we interviewing yet?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, we've done a whole show. We've done a whole show. It's been great." But yeah, no, I don't know if I learned it, but my goal is always to be as organic as possible, as natural as possible, as unscripted as possible. And I think people are at their best when they're like that. And so my goal is always to get that from them. And I think with my ease on it and the way that I approach them and the way that I act as though they're my friends from 25 years ago who can't wait to show me their home and I can't wait to see it, it's really not that far from the truth, really.
Well, it is.
I mean, I haven't met them yet, but I really feel like there is a connection between all people. We have more in common than we don't. And that you're only one person away from being my dentist's daughter. You're only one person away from being my sister-in-law. So I really look at everyone as though they're family and friends, and I've always done that. And so I think, you know, part of it is just my personality type, and then I think part of it is just the organic process that we have, where I don't allow them to overthink it. You know, just be natural. Just chat with me like you would. A friend coming to visit.
Yes.
Yeah. So you know I don't see the houses ahead of time.
I know you told me
No one can believe that.
I know, I was there.
But I've seen so many people over my career who will say, "Oh, I'll just tell you now, and then I'll say it again later on camera." And I had a cameraman once who used to ask people all the questions while he was setting up the cameras.
Oh, jeez.
And like I told your cameraman, you know, every time I'd get the sound bite, it would be completely distilled from what they had said before. That organic, you know, immediate response where they're excited and they want to share it is kind of tampered because they've already told it, and no one likes to repeat themselves over and over again.
True.
And so they'd say, "Well, like I told your cameraman, it was a pretty important day," you know, where their real response was, "Oh my goodness, this changed my life. You would not believe it. This blueberry farm was just like a page turner for us," you know. So I don't know. I don't like to see the houses because I don't want them to tell me stories, and they want to tell me stories, and I want the cameras rolling when they do. I want my audience to see it for the first time, just like I do.
Well,
so we're experiencing it together.
You do it well.
Thank you.
You do it well. You are definitely a natural storyteller for sure. But that sort of takes me to the question, because I look at you as in television, and people in television oftentimes have to be storytellers, right? Depending on the kind of show you do. So did you always want to be in television or broadcasting, or did you always want to be a storyteller?
I would say the latter. I've always been a storyteller. Television is just the medium that I use. I had no intent, as some do, of, oh, I want to be famous, or, oh, I need to be on display. For me, it was always stories. I think about children when they're little. I think if you can allow and encourage and not get in the way of children, then they show you their true colors right around the age of 4, 5, 6. And for me, when I played with my Barbies, which I did all the time.
I did too.
Yeah, and by myself a lot, which was fun.
I was an only child. I am an only child.
Yeah. So, well, and I had a brother, and, you know, his trucks could come in and knock down my
Knock
perfectly...
down the dream house.
Yeah, exactly. But when I would play with the Barbies, I would have conversations, I would tell stories, they would fly. I could care less about what they were wearing. Honestly, I think Skipper wore the same exact tankini. It was orange, I'll never forget it, but it was like a tankini, which are kind of cute now, but you know, back then it was just, Skipper was Barbie's, I don't know if you're familiar, but Skipper.
I had Skipper.
Yeah, I related to Skipper because she was more of a tomboy, which I was, and you know, she had bangs and straight hair, and she had this orange tankini and shorts, and she was just very, you know, she just wasn't fussy. Like Barbie was a little bit more fussy.
She was the antithesis of who Barbie
Yeah,
was.
I mean, Barbie had the, you know, the high heel shaped feet, and Barbie had the Barbie body, and Skipper was just more regular.
That's right.
And I would just make them play and talk and stories, and my plots were thick, and I added characters, and I had settings, and I write poetry, and I paint, and pretty much everything I do is creative, but it's through whatever modality I'm doing. And right now, television is the modality that I've been doing. So I am a storyteller first.
Yes, you are.
And television just happens to be the medium that I tell stories through.
So it wasn't something that you studied in college or...
Well, I did work in a news station in college. I actually wanted to go get my doctorate in dramaturgy.
Oh.
So I had a humanities major, which is all about people, which I love people. I've always been interested in people.
Which is what you do.
Yeah, I think in school I was voted friendliest, so I've always been, you know, a people person. So I always knew I wanted to do something with people. But I loved reading contemporary drama. I loved reading the existentialists, and I loved analyzing their conversations. So I love, stripped away from all the narrative of a lot of stories, I love just the dialogue. So the spoken word, which you have in television, is just like music to my ears. I absolutely love it. And so I didn't think I wanted to do TV, but I did take classes in linguistics I love, philosophy I love, dramaturgy I wanted to do, and then I had a newsroom internship. Okay. And so I worked in news, and I didn't really want to do news because I love more lifestyle stuff. I mean, our show's pretty soft, right? It's a pretty soft show. I'm not trying to like break any news stories. I'm not trying to create drama. It's not anything, you know, hard. It's really soft. It's lifestyle, and that's really where I feel more comfortable. It's a feature. I want to bring out people's best and showcase their best, and I'm not really looking to find, you know, what's under their closet or whatever.
Right. You know? There's always something.
Yeah.
We don't always need to know.
I don't need to know it, and I just think it's a format that people like. They can relate to it. I have people say to me, you know, even if I couldn't afford this particular house, let's say, or even if I don't live in this particular area, I found something in the homeowner that resonated with me, and that always makes me really happy because I really do feel that there's something to learn from everyone, and that we can get that when we go, and when we meet and we talk to people, we can find, oh, you know, or inspiration from the show, which I get with my own home, and I get all the time. I get little bits of their conversation into my mind of like things I think about, you know, and I also get ideas just for my own home and my own life. I love to see how people live. We have 100 years if we're lucky. It really is fascinating to me what you do with those 100 years. Yes. I mean, I love it. How you live, and what you love, you know, who you love, what you love. Those are like the key tenets of our show, because I care about how people are using these 100 years. It's fascinating to me, really.
It is.
You know, and how they got there. I think a lot of people think, you know, occasionally, not often, but occasionally I'll get somebody say, oh, it must be nice. Occasionally, really rarely. But the people I meet, I would say most, if not all, don't roll out of bed one day and just have a beautiful life. They've curated it. They have love, they have pain, they have loss, they have cancer, they have things like everyone else does. But it's your attitude. So much of it is in the attitude. These people that I meet, their attitude is even though they've had some hard times, and they have, I've heard the stories. I don't always used to say them on the show, but I've heard them. They're making the best out of their life. They're believing that they can, and they do, you know. I think that should be inspiring.
It is inspiring. And today, you know, having a show like Home Life and Style on, it's a breath of fresh air after everything else that, you know, you see. You know, you turn the channel and it's more of the same, right? So we need it. And it's great to have local, and there's so little local anymore. So bravo to you all for keeping that going.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pine Hills. Great partners since the beginning to believe in us.
It's been fun. It's fun for us too. So we appreciate it. So speaking of home, we're in your brand new home here in Hull.
Yes.
And I know you're going to be doing a show about that, so we won't talk about that now. But so is South Shore your home, or tell us a little bit about, you know, home.
Well,
where was home?
I was born
to
in
you?
Boston, and I was raised on the Cape. So I'm a beach girl, and you know, again, the Cape is really not fussy. It's you know, it's pretty much bare feet, sand. But with the Cape comes a lot of transients, a lot of travelers, a lot of influx. So I think I have a lot of influence from growing up on the Cape. And then I did live away. I lived in Virginia. I worked for PBS in Virginia, and then I worked and lived in Seattle for a while. I had my children out in Seattle on the West Coast, and but then I moved back. And when I moved back, I thought, okay, halfway between Boston and the Cape, the South Shore. Now, for me, honestly, when I was growing up, my Grammy lived in Arlington, and my parents were from Arlington, and so we would go from the Cape, Route 3, to Arlington. And to me, Route 3, I never really even noticed the signs of the towns.
Me either.
Yeah, it
I
was
would
just
head
like
to the Cape, and then it's like, are we through Plymouth yet?
yeah. So for me, it was like the Cape to Boston, and then that's just the road. And then when I moved back, I thought, oh, I started researching it. I said, oh my goodness. So I first lived in Duxbury, and then I lived in Hanover, and then I lived in Hingham, and now we moved to Sunset Point and Hull. So I've been here for 20 years, since 2000.
So it is home now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like Maine where they say, you know, you're not a Mainer unless you have like 3 generations. The South Shore is a little more forgiving than that.
Well, the Cape isn't. You're still the Washington Shore, right?
Yeah, but I knew I didn't really want to be on the Cape full time. I love the access to Boston. I wanted to be near where my kids are going to college. I wanted to just be here. I think it's a good location. I love the South Shore. And my kids went to an independent school, so I really felt like all of the South Shore was my town. So in a way, you know, I would take my kids to, you know, Cohasset for music, and Situate for art, and computer camp, and Hingham, and tennis over here. And I really felt like all their friends from that independent school were from all of the towns. So I never really felt like attached specifically to one town as much as like the whole South Shore community. Yeah. So.
Well, they're happy to have you here, I'm sure. And I guess I think a lot about all the awesome things that you see. You know, you're in so many amazing homes, and you see so many beautiful things. So is there a part of you that just loves the part about home design? I mean, is that something you could have seen yourself doing
Oh,
as well?
absolutely.
Or, I mean, you do it because you've done it here.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, I do see a lot of amazing homes, really, really incredible homes. And I never feel a sense of envy. I never feel a sense of anything except for just the appreciation of beauty, right? And I've always been like that. I have a mother who we'd be on the couch when I was a kid, and you know, she'd have the TV in the armoire, the way they did it for a while there. And she would get up in the middle of a show and honestly get up and then just tweak a couple little things on the top of the armoire and then sit back down. And I grew up with very neat parents, let's just say. I mean, my Nana used to wash my hands in the middle of finger painting. So sometimes maybe too neat, let's just say. Yeah, it's finger painting, Nana. It's finger painting, Nana. It's okay. You're allowed to get messy during here. But I did grow up in a very orderly house. My parents are very organized. I'm very organized. I think that's my producer in me. And my mother really cared about her decor and her home. And she made a beautiful home, and she still does. And her style's not my style. She has more of like a country plaid type style, which is fine, but she does it perfectly. The style that she has, she does it perfectly. Every single thing is with intent, and every placement of every picture, every place of every object, how things are laid out is you know, that's my mom. And
so you developed that eye.
I developed that eye early, right? And I just have a natural, I think, sense of composition. And it comes from film, it comes from art, it comes from, you know, I know when something is right. And I think that designers do have that.
Yes.
You know, and I don't think design is just about making a house pretty. I think your home and design has a lot to do with your sense of not just self, but your sense of peace and calm and safety and your mental health. I really think your home is crucial to that. And I go a step further, where if I see like something and it looks beautiful, I'll think that every single time I see it. I mean, it'll go through my mind every single time. That's beautiful. It's just me appreciating beauty. Like I used to write haikus every single day. Do you know what haiku is?
Yes, I do.
So I used to write the Japanese poetry form in the 575 format on whatever it was during my day. But during my day, I would know that I was going to write one. It was kind of like a meditative process. And so I'd know I was collecting details. So I'm always looking at details. I'm very detail oriented. So I'm always like collecting fodder for what would it be. You know, I didn't share them necessarily
right.
of this haiku. It was just for me to process and to appreciate life and appreciate the moments and appreciate them, you know, the details. And so I've always been like that. You know, I've always noticed the details. And people sometimes, because I look like I don't listen, and I always joke with Cap about this. I look like I don't listen. You know, so that, I don't know what it makes it look like I don't listen, but sometimes it looks like I don't listen, but I'm really taking in all of it. And I'm remembering all of it. Yeah, I am. I've even said to somebody one time, I said, "Oh, you changed your color mascara." Honestly.
Oh my God.
I know, that's crazy. I mean, I didn't know I even knew. And I never even consciously thought about it. But when she changed the color of her mascara from like brown to black or black to brown or whatever it was, I said, "Oh, you changed the color of your mascara." And she's like, "How do you know that? Like, what's wrong with you?" I said, "I just noticed. I just noticed the details. They're just part of it." So I guess to answer your question, I think I love design. I love designing my own home. I don't know if I would have been great designing other people's homes necessarily, or if I ever want to do it, but it's definitely part of who I am. I've always done it since my bedroom. I had my perfect wallpaper with the flowers and the stripe that they're matching.
I want to know what the Barbie house looked like.
The Barbie house was the penthouse. Oh, don't get me started. The Barbie was a penthouse, and I thought at the time, okay, I'm going to have a mailbox as my laundry basket. That would be really cool. And I'm going to have a fireplace in the center, and I'm going to have a white shag rug, really thick, and I'm going to have an orange fireplace, kind of like the color of your shirt.
Yes,
and it's
orange
going to
is
be
big.
right. And then I had a little cardboard piece in the back, and it would change from daytime to nighttime, and it was the scene of the city in the background. And then I had the camper, and then I had lots of other things, obviously, but I think that's a big part of. I think how you play is a big part of who you are.
I think that's how I got stuck on loving fashion so much. So unfortunately, that was probably not a good thing.
Well, don't you think fashion and design
are very related?
Very related.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of the similar skill sets. I think they cross over quite a bit. And I'm just now really getting more into, like, seeing that my clothing can also be a representation of that. I mean, not that I wasn't into that, but I wasn't always as into that as I am now. Now I'm kind of sort of seeing it all come together. It's just another way of expression, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah, you always look, I mean, over the top, fantastic.
You're so sweet.
Every outfit I've ever seen you in is just impeccable. So I know that fashion's your background.
I don't know. Like you say, where does it come from? I don't know, but whatever. So we've just gone through a kind of a funky period in life. It's interesting. So how did you spend the time that was in lockdown?
Yeah, how did I spend the time? Well, I think like a lot of people, I was in shock at first. I mean, real shock. I wore polar bear fleece jammies pretty much every day. I wore a fleece hat to cover my hair, which all women know the hair was a major issue.
Yes, it was.
I wore pretty much the hat as a staple. I wore the fleece jammies as a staple. And I was just in shock. I mean, I was really in shock. The world we knew was just completely changed. And I feared for my career. I feared for my safety. I feared for my children in school. Like, is that college? Is there ever going to be a college again? You know, is it going to be normal? Are we going to be able to go to the grocery store? Am I going to have people over? So I guess I spent my time at first really shocked. And then I went through a period of calling everyone I knew on the phone because I needed people. People think I'm extroverted because I am a host and because I am friendly and all that other, but I'm actually just right of center.
Okay.
I'm actually just right of center. I need my alone time, and I need to my processing time. And if I don't get that, I'm a little crazy. So I need that. But that said, I need to have people in my life. I need conversations. So I called a lot of people during that time just to chat. People, sometimes people I hadn't talked to for 20 years.
But that outreach must have been so good for them too.
Yeah,
know?
they
I
were
mean,
like,
everybody was in the same place.
Yeah.
You know, we all
Yeah.
were just feeling so alone, whether you have a significant other or children or whatever.
Yeah.
You still get that feeling of being alone. You
Yeah.
know, it's natural for us to want to be with people. It's
Yeah.
who we
And
are.
to find out what other people do under that circumstance,
Right.
because Cap made a lot of sugar. And I was like, oh, this is what he does to self-soothe. You know, I had my self-soothing,
Yes.
and I don't eat a lot of sugar. I had my own sort of way of self-soothing, and he just made a lot of sugar. I mean, frosting, cake. You know, he was like baking. And I hear from a lot of people that they did that.
Yeah.
They
There
baked,
was
they
no
made
flour
cookies.
in the stores.
Right, exactly. The flour was exactly.
Like, where to go?
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, so I think I evolved like most people, where I started in shock, and then I said, okay, it looks like I'm going to have to live with this thing, like you do any kind of thing that you have, like when my father passed, or you know, whatever it is. That at first you're in the shock and the denial and the oh no, and then the I'm not going to change how I live, and then you just adapt. And so,
Well,
yeah.
you've done well.
Well, I know. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I mean, we're careful on the shows as much as we can be. The homeowners have had smaller dinner parties, you know, much smaller. They're usually inviting their bubble people, their family. We're not seeing the 60 people like we did in the Lexington episode, which I just love that episode. I just loved that episode so much. Or like the 1920s party where there's 50 of us, or the Miami Chic party that we had in some of these episodes. We're seeing smaller, more intimate parties, but I think it's been nice in a way, because I really get to know the people at the table.
Yeah, and it's more intimate, and like you said, you have time to really get to talk to one another in a different way instead of, you know, a bigger celebration.
And it's still all about enjoying food, great food together.
Yes.
I mean, the element didn't change. It really didn't. It's just that we just have less people at the table crowded, and that's fine. You know, at first I thought, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? How am I going to do it? And then I decided to do my own home. I said, well, I want to feature one of my own homes. Now I know how the homeowners feel to get their house TV ready. It's been crazy.
It's not easy.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's a different level of company. You know, it is. But so now I have a better understanding. Not that I just thought, oh, they just whipped their house together in a day, but it's a little tiny bit of pressure. But I'm glad I did it. It's going to be a 2-part episode.
Can't wait to see it, and it's coming up soon.
Yeah, this fall. It's coming up this fall, and as soon as I can get it done, all of the elements. But it's 2 parts. I'm going to start all the way from the purchase of it, the deciding to tear it down, the deciding to eventually live here, and everything. Yeah, because it's a prefab, comes in 6 boxes, and no one's going to even believe that.
It's incredible.
that it looks
to
so
look
beautiful.
around here and believe this is a prefab.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, modular home, and even I was like that. But no, it's
Oh my gosh!
you can
no.
elevate that and use it, and it's cost effective. And I had a really good team with me who helped take it from prefab to fabulous.
Well, we'll make sure that you let us know so we can make sure we
Thank you.
pre-promote it with you.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
everybody can tune in
Thank
to see all of this amazing work that you did
Thank
here.
you.
So
Yeah,
that's
well, and I'm
really
also
great.
looking forward to the Pine Hills episode.
And that's coming up soon too,
Yep,
right?
that's going to be this fall. Yep, in Climbers Path.
Yeah.
And I love Lisa and Aaron, and we had our party outside.
We
and
did.
We did the fire pit, and spent the time in their courtyard, which was nice. And yeah, they're interesting, and their house is beautiful. And I love the way they designed the jewel box home, you know, with Mackenzie Brothers, but how they have all that color.
The colors are just fabulous.
Yeah, the color's
It really
fabulous, and there is like this one, no wasted space. I mean, I guess you could almost call this one jewel box home in that way.
I would, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
it's
absolutely
just the
would.
space we use. It's really no extra frills for.
And I think that's really great for people to see now that, you know, you can live differently. You know, people always say, I'm going to downsize, but, you know, we always like to say you're really right-sizing because,
I like that.
you know, you still want certain spaces. You just maybe want bigger spaces for some things and smaller spaces for other things. And then you sort of put it in your plan. So so when people come from different size houses, we just like to direct them to say, you're just right-sizing, you know.
And you evolve, your family evolves, and who you have in it, and who you have living with you. And for me, I feel like at this age, I know how I live. I know I've learned a lot with all the houses. I've had a lot of houses. and I've learned a lot. And I don't really want things in my home that don't speak to me, that don't mean something now. You know, if something I look at doesn't have a personal, you know, either it really moves me as a new piece, or it's something from something that I'm fond of, then I don't really need it here. And someone else can enjoy it, and that's okay. And I can shed some of this stuff that was kind of holding me down, and let someone else enjoy its second life. So,
and I've been hearing that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was actually speaking to Mackenzie Brothers. I was speaking to them today about something, and they're, you know, sold their models, and same thing, the purge of whether it's your own things, or when you have a model home and you're selling things, and, you know, do you keep them for the next model? You know, everybody's doing the same thing. After being in your house for so long and living with what's around you, you really decide what's important.
Oh yeah, I mean, design and renovation and all that is huge right now. These people are busy. All of them I talk to are so busy, because people did, like you said, they sat in their house and they were like, oh my gosh, look at that painting. I've just been sort of walking by it on my way to the kitchen and haven't even noticed. That doesn't even speak to me anymore. It doesn't really even go. And I never reframed it. And blah, 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 you know?
Exactly.
And they notice. They're noticing the details, right?
Well, because we're all in the go so much, as you are, you know.
Yes.
And so once you stop and breathe, you know, you look at things differently. And so hopefully we've all looked at things a little bit differently, and sort of not taking things for granted and being grateful, which I know we all are, and I know I am too.
And seeing how important your space is, you know, and how lucky we are. I mean, I have that thing with Habitat for Humanity that we do, where people can buy a mug on our website, and the money goes 100% goes to the Habitat for Humanity. And we started that during the COVID lockdown, because one of the things that I thought about was, wow, I'm in my home and I might be moping, but I'm grateful I have a home. And there's still people who don't have a home. And so I was particularly aware of my home and how important it was.
And you know, Pine Hills does. Pine Hills supports Habitat for Humanity of Greater Plymouth, and we have 3 homes that we're doing in conjunction with them right now, and one of which just was finished, and 2 others are coming on, and those 2 I think have veterans that are moving in. So just great work, and it's a great opportunity for you to contribute as well through that. I hope to check out that mug.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I was raised that giving is receiving, and I think it's true. You know, not for the accolades, but just for the actual what you do. It just makes you feel good. Activity of the soul in accordance with virtue is what Aristotle said. That's happiness. Activity of the soul in accordance with virtue, and that one stuck with me since college as a way to live.
Well, it's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, some quick fun things just to ask.
Okay.
So just like off the cuff.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
No. Twice. 3 times. Green.
Mountains or beaches?
Beaches.
Okay. Books or Kindle?
Oh, books. I have a Kindle. I love it, but
all right. Cook in or take out?
I'll cook in.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Chocolate, absolutely.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
Those are easy.
They're easy.
I have one son who's a cat and one son's a dog, and their personality. Once I figured out that my oldest was a cat personality, then the whole new world like opened up to me, and I was like, oh, he just likes to come in once in a while, rub against me, and then leave. My other one's at my leg, up, bunny, up, 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 up. He's more like a dog, and so I once I started saying one is a cat, one is a dog. Obviously, they're men. Then I started understanding it. But for me, a dog. I don't have any dogs right now because we travel. You know, Cap and I
it
on
can
the
have
road.
to be so hard.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want to put that dog through that, kennel it all the time, or have them missing us, or whatever. Maybe someday when I live on a boat, I'll get a little dog.
Oh, that's the next move. He's giving us a preview, everybody.
Yeah, that's the goal. So at least 6 months out of the year, I think we'll live on a boat at some point.
Sounds fun. Maybe somewhere warm.
Yeah, yeah, probably somewhere warm. I would definitely pick somewhere warm. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Of course,
I'm sure there are many more questions I could ask you that I had on my list, but but maybe we'll do that interview 2.
Oh, sure, whatever you want.
Part 2
Yeah,
after the show.
Sure.
We'll do another one, and we can't wait to have you back to the Pine Hills soon. And we really appreciate you joining us today for a Wednesday Unwind.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, my mother lives at the Pine Hills, and now we're putting her into assisted living at the Pine Hills. And we love the Pine Hills. I mean, I not only love your support for the show, but I'm a firm believer and an advocate and an ambassador for the Pine Hills, because I think what you guys do there is magical in all your forms, from the apartments, the houses, the community, the restaurants. The entire thing is
Thank
beautiful.
you.
A model for others to follow, really. And I'm really happy my mom is going to take this next stage at the Pine Hills.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We very much appreciate that. And, you know, home is more important than ever. And it's just a wonderful thing to be in this field right now, to be helping people find the place that they really want to live.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you do it well. How about
Thank
a
you.
cheers for
All
home
right.
life and style and the Pine Hills?
right.
Cheers.
cheers.